Joining me in studio right now, another candidate for Texas 19, Jason Corley. Jason, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and start off with the controversy that's been out there. Of course, this all surrounding Colonel Michael Bob Starr. His campaign, they sort of denied it after the fact, but they did kind of blame you for kicking up this whole controversy out there. So did you kick it up? Why did you bring it up? Why do you think it's an issue?
Well, I just asked the question, and the question was why is an LGBT lifestyle being promoted on Dice Air Force Base? And that's a fair question. The colonel said that, that he's running on his record and that he's proud of it. Well, according to the pictures on Dice Air Force Base website, that's part of his record. And him and I sat on the same stage at the Rock City Event Center, and everyone on that stage said they did not support the LGBT lifestyle. To my knowledge, no other candidate's been running in a gay fun run. So, he's told us one thing, but these pictures suggest something else. So that's why I asked the question. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Well, what is this? I may be a candidate, but I'm also a voter too. That's something that I would want to know.
Do you think it is, I guess, in a way, a defense that he was commander of Dice Air Force Base? These are, his men and women that, if you go to war, they're going to be right next to him, and he wasn't necessarily promoting a lifestyle, that he was just doing what he felt was best for Dice Air Force Base.
Well, okay, that was one of the things that crossed my mind. I thought, well, wait a minute, maybe the Obama administration, because they're forcing this agenda really hard and fast on our military. So I thought maybe that maybe they forced him into doing this. So I went and looked on Cannon Air Force Base website, and I couldn't find any pictures. I mean, there wasn't anything on there. So I thought, okay, well, that's not the case. So I looked around, and I couldn't find any other base commander that was doing the same thing that Bob Starr was doing. And, Bob Starr was even asked about that. He said, well, can you name any other commanders, or do you have any pictures of it? And he said no, that he couldn't name any. So, that still left me scratching my head as well.
So I guess you're not satisfied with his answer still.
Well, his answer's there. It's out there. Not really. Just to be upfront and honest with you, no. That left me scratching my head. He didn't have to do that. Because I went and checked. He is required to protect any homosexual airman from discrimination, but he's not required to promote that.
Right. Visiting with Jason Corley. We'll go ahead. We'll take our first break of this half hour. When we come back, we'll get into other issues that will affect Congress and that already impacted Congress, and how Jason would handle some of those issues when we come back here on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO. All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO. Jason Corley in studio, candidate for Texas 19. Jason, let's say you win this race, you go to Congress. What are the first three things that you want to do?
First thing, when you go after the stuff that affects everybody, repealing Obamacare, that's got to go. We've got to get that out the door right off the bat. And then start working on anything and everything we can possibly do to fix our economy. First thing is going to be, especially for this area, we've got to re-subsidize cotton. Talking around some of the farm ag credit guys, everybody's telling me that they're looking to lose 50% of their farmers if we have another year like this year. We cannot afford that here in District 19. Every dollar that a farmer makes turns over 8 times in the community before it leaves. So some people sit there and say, well, it's just the farmers. Well, no, it's the guys all over at the seed press. It's every cotton gin, every cotton mill, the truck drivers that haul all of it. And then you got to think about the trickle-down economics of that as well. Mm-hmm. That's every waitress working at every restaurant in town. We're all going to feel that pinch. So, definitely the farm bill, getting everything lined up, getting everything ready for that, because, we're going to see that change as soon as we get a new president in office. Let's see, that's one, that's two. Also, we've got to go back to the table with the World Trade Organization. That needs to be the first thing that we start pushing on hard and heavy, is to straighten that out. Government wants to do a lot of things, but how are we going to pay for it? That's still one of my favorite quotes from T. Boone Pickens was, ask his dad, growing up in the Great Depression, Dad, why can't we do this? And Dad would say, well, we can't do it for 3 reasons. Number one, we don't have the money. And he just stopped right there and he said, well, what are the other 2 reasons? Well, one, we don't have the money, so the other 2 reasons don't matter. That's about the long and the short of it. We've got a national debt we've got to pay down, which is our biggest threat to national security right now. In the event that, unfortunate event that we had to go to war, how would we pay for it? The last 2 wars cost us $6 trillion, and I don't think at this point anybody's just jumping up and down to loan us that kind of money to go fight another war. So that needs to get handled first, and then start looking at, we've got to be looking at our border security and our immigration all of our immigration laws. This H-1B visa mess has got to go. We can't be importing foreign labor and then paying them foreign labor prices to work in America. That's an unfair competition to American workers as well.
Visiting with Jason Corley in studio, running for Texas 19. Let's go back to the cotton issue, because that's something that you've been talking a lot about in this race, and others have been as well. The ag issues have kind of been, in a way, ignored, I think, by Congress. And I think a lot of people out here would say that they've felt ignored by Congress, and maybe even the current congressman who is there. So how do you rebuild that? And how, as a freshman congressman, do you push for cotton to be re-added?
Well, definitely be working with Mike Conway. Also, just got to get the word out. Just let all the other congressmen know. Look, this is how important this is. And and I had somebody hit me with a really good question and said, "How are you going to convince a Democrat congressman from the east side of Dallas that they need to vote yes for this? I mean, how is that going to benefit them?" Well, you're going to need to make it benefit them. We're going to have to try to say, okay, look, let's get cotton re-subsidized, and then let's try to figure out how we can manufacture these textile products. In your district. I mean, what could we do? How could we? I mean, what kind of tax incentives could you offer in your district to get somebody to put a cotton mill inside of your district, or any kind of textile mill, or just anything manufacturing any Texas cotton products? There's ways to work this around to where it benefits everybody. It doesn't always have to be just a party line split on issues. I mean, everybody wears blue jeans, Democrat, Republican, Independent, it doesn't matter.
When it comes to immigration, you mentioned immigration. If the next president came to you and said, "Give me your ideas, give me your big ideas to, 1, secure the border, and number 2, what do you do with those who are already here illegally?"
Well, having worked on the border, I can tell you for one thing, you need a physical barrier. I've heard people say, "Well, walls are not an effective way, haven't been an effective way to defend a territory for 2,000 years." Well, if that's the case, then why does Mexico have a wall on their southern border? Why does Israel have a wall around it? Walls are built all over the place. Fences are built everywhere. We need a physical barrier for one, and that's going to force everybody to have to go through our ports. That way we've got control over who comes and who goes. I mean, that's what we have to have. We have to protect our border. For starters. Also, we need to be looking at this. Do we need to continue to use the Border Patrol to try to control our border situation until we can get a fence or a wall built, or do we need to be using the military? At what point do we say, "Hey, look, we need to call up the National Guard. We need to get this under control"? Because you can ask a lot of these Border Patrol agents. These guys are outmanned and outgunned on our border by the cartels. Mm-hmm. That's the reality of it. If they're dealing with a paramilitary group, we probably need to use our military to go down there and put a stop to this. Then what to do with all of the 10 to 11 million immigrants that are already here? Okay, we have to stop and look at why they're here in the first place. You've got the criminal element. Okay, first off, all of them that are rounded up need to go ahead and be imprisoned in our prisons, and then send the bill to their home country. Work that into our trade deals. You're going to pay for us if we have to house your citizens, if we have to take care of them medically, or if we have to imprison them for crimes they've committed in our country. You're footing the bill. For one. 2, the illegal immigrants that are in this country that are here to work, you have to remember there's an entire industry designed to bring people into this country. We've had problems with this in the meatpacking plant industry. We've had some problems with this in the construction industry as well. That's something we need to be taking a look at, is going, hey, wait a minute. Why are these specific industries bringing in workers from outside of the country instead of hiring American workers? Also, you've got to be looking at your visas. The 9/11 hijackers, San Bernardino, both of those people were here all of those people were here legally on visas, and then they just quit reporting in. They quit checking in. Something else that's come up is the H-1B visas. That's what Disney was using to bring in tech workers from China and displace all of their American workers. But with the H-1B visas, they get to pay Chinese wages inside of America. That's not right. That's an unfair competition. Gives an unfair advantage to anyone trying to use that labor.
You brought up looking at all of those. Do you deport all those who are here? They haven't broken any other laws, let's say, other than being here illegally. do you deport those people?
I would say let's get put out. All right, you got 6 months to get your paperwork right. I'm not saying citizenship. I mean getting filed, getting set up on a work visa. Okay, you've got 6 months to get it right. Anybody after that 6 month period who's not already filed their paperwork, you're gone. I mean, there's got to be a cutoff. You cannot continue to incentivize people to come here by there being no penalty. If you come here and you get caught, it's no harm, no foul. We can't continue that because that's going to encourage more people to come.
Visiting with Jason Corley. We'll go ahead and we'll take our final break of this half hour. When we come back, we've got more to get into. Jason Corley in studio, candidate for Texas 19. Jason, I think before you've said that you were for term limits, correct?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. Our founding fathers always envisioned a Congress that was going to be made up of just a citizen legislature. People like you, people like me, go to Washington, D.C., they serve 2, 4, 6 years tops, and then turn around and come back home, go back to the people, back to the people where they're from, back to their businesses, back to what they were doing before. They never envisioned the creation of a political class to rule over us, or the idea of a career politician. Nobody's supposed to get rich in Congress. That's not what it was for. You're not supposed to profit from being a public servant, other than a meager pay. That's the problem. That's something that's always aggravated me. Is one, the sheer number of millionaires that get into office, and then two, the sheer number of people who become millionaires while they're in office or manage to increase their wealth. That to me, that's just very questionable. What are you up there? Why are you doing that? We ought to quit looking at how much money these guys make while they're in office, and be looking at how much they've increased the economy of their home district.
If elected, how long would you want to serve?
Oh, 6 years tops. Yeah, 3 terms. That's it.
Okay.
Go serve and then come home. If I do a good job and take a 2-year break and decide that I want to run again, if the people would have me, then maybe go back. But you can't leave people in there, because once you get an incumbent in there, and we know this from District 19, no incumbent's ever been beaten. Once they're in there, they're there until they decide they want to retire. That's a bit of a problem. We need to have more people moving through those offices.
Do you support the idea of a convention of states?
Yes, I do. Been looking to Article 5 and was reading up on that the other day. But yes, definitely. If that's what it takes, if that's what we have to do to get it, then fine. I'm good with it. Either which way, however it gets done.
Because members of Congress, they're not going to pass. Most members of Congress are not going to pass term limits, and a lot of them probably don't want to get to some of the other issues of the Convention of States that they're bringing up. I mean, they just don't want to do it.
Well, here's a thought for you. It's going to be difficult to get any legislature to vote to limit their own power, but they'll limit everybody else's. We've seen that. They don't have a problem doing that. So why don't we? I'd be for proposing a bill that would say any seating member of Congress is grandfather claused in. Any new member of Congress coming in. Term limits apply to them. So then, as some of these dinosaurs retire out, and their seats come open again, then you'll get your term limits in there. I mean, that might be the only way that I know to get that pushed through Congress.
We have about a minute left or so here in the interview. Tell folks what they need to know about you.
Well, like I've said before, stop voting for the men in suits. Vote for the man in steel-toed boots. We need somebody in office like you. We need somebody in office like me. Most people in this district have got their name written on the front of their shirt as opposed to their initials on their cuffs. We need a regular man to go to Washington, D.C., serve his term, and then come home. We're 3 things in this district, definitely. We are ag, we are oil, and we are small business. And I am all 3 of those. I've worked in the oil field for the last 8 years. I've had a small business for the last 5 years. And I've worked in and around agriculture my entire life. Oh, also, if you have any questions, please call me directly at 806-407-6722. I'm not one of the big money candidates, so it will be me answering the phone, and I'd love to talk with you.
Now, wait a minute. You say you're not one of the big money candidates, right? Because I heard that this was a high-financed campaign, right? In the attacks against Starr.
Well, I would say the rumors of my financing have been greatly exaggerated. When I first read that in that press release, I thought, hey, wait a minute, where is that money at? Nobody told me anything.
And people in suits can vote for you, right?
They can.
Okay, if they wear nice suits, you're still okay.
I'm not going to hold it against them.
Okay, all right. Jason Corley, hey, thanks for stopping by again, man. Appreciate it.